It was a cold and quiet morning in a small town. The sun had just started to rise, painting the sky in soft orange and pink. A little girl named Emma was walking with her school bag when she noticed something unusual under an old oak tree near the park. A German shepherd sat there, her fur dusty and tangled, her eyes tired and full of pain. Beside her lay a tiny pup, curled up against her body, trying to stay warm. The sight made Emma stop. She could see that the dog was weak and hungry, but she was still guarding her baby carefully, as if protecting the only thing she loved in this world. Emma was only 7 years old, but her heart was big and kind. She loved animals more than anything. Every day after school, she would feed the birds near her house and help stray cats find food. That morning, something inside her told her she couldn't walk away. She slowly took a few steps toward the tree, her small boots crunching on the frozen grass. The German shepherd lifted her head and looked at her with big brown eyes. There was no anger in them, only sadness and fear. "It's okay," Emma whispered softly, kneeling down. "I won't hurt you." The dog stayed still, watching her closely. Emma noticed the mother dog's ribs showing through her thin fur. She had probably not eaten in days. The pup made a tiny sound, whimpering for milk. Emma's heart broke. She took off her small jacket and carefully wrapped it around the little one. The mother dog didn't stop her. In fact, she leaned forward slightly and gave Emma's hand a gentle lick, as if thanking her. When Emma's mother, Sarah, arrived to pick her up for school, she was surprised to see her daughter sitting beside a stray dog. "Emma, what are you doing?" she asked. "Worried. Double quotes, Mom, please," Emma said quickly. "They need help. The puppy is cold and the mama dog is sick." Sarah hesitated. They already had bills to pay and no space for pets. But looking at the little girl's pleading eyes, she couldn't say no. The dog looked harmless, almost peaceful, even though she was weak. Sarah sighed and said, "Okay, we'll help them for now. But they have to stay in the shed until we figure something out." Emma smiled wide and hugged her mom. Together they carried the dogs home. The mother German shepherd was too weak to walk, so Sarah carried her gently in a blanket. When they reached home, Emma gave the dogs warm milk and small pieces of bread. She made a bed with soft towels near the heater. The mother dog hesitated at first, but when she saw Emma caring for her pup, she slowly lay down and closed her eyes. Over the next few days, Emma spent every spare minute with them. She named the mother Grace and the pup Lucky. Grace was gentle and quiet. She watched everything Emma did. Sometimes when Emma sat doing her homework, Grace would rest her head on the little girl's knee and sigh, as if she finally felt safe. But Sarah could see that something wasn't right. Grace was growing weaker instead of stronger. She refused to eat more than a few bites, and sometimes she just stared at the wall with heavy, tired eyes. Emma didn't notice it much. She believed Grace just needed more rest. Every night before bed, Emma would bring a storybook and read aloud beside the dog's bed. Grace listened quietly, her eyes following Emma's movements, while Lucky slept against her. One night, as rain tapped gently against the window, something unexpected happened. Emma had just finished reading when Grace got up slowly. Her legs trembled, but she moved with purpose. She picked up Lucky in her mouth, walked toward Emma, and placed him carefully in her lap. Then she sat down in front of Emma and stared at her. Emma didn't understand what was happening. She smiled and said softly, "It's okay, Grace. He's safe. You can lie down." But Grace didn't lie down immediately. She looked straight at Emma for a long time. Her eyes seemed to speak words that no one could hear. Slowly, tears began to gather in the corners of her eyes. Emma blinked in surprise. She had never seen a dog cry before. Grace's tears rolled down her fur and dripped onto Emma's hands. The little girl felt something deep in her chest, a mix of sadness and love. She didn't know it yet, but Grace was saying goodbye. The next morning, Emma woke up to find Grace lying still. Her eyes were half closed, and her paw rested on the edge of the blanket where Lucky slept. She wasn't breathing anymore. Emma froze. Her small heart felt like it had broken into pieces. She touched Grace's fur gently and whispered, "Wake up, please." But Grace was gone. Sarah came running when she heard her daughter cry. She hugged Emma tightly, tears filling her own eyes. They buried Grace under the big oak tree where they had first found her. Emma placed a small flower on the grave and whispered, "I'll take care of him for you. I promise." That night, Emma couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about the way Grace had looked at her, that deep, knowing look before placing the pup in her lap. It felt like the dog had trusted her completely, as if she had chosen her to be the pup's new mother. Emma cried quietly under her blanket, holding Lucky close to her chest. Days turned into weeks, but Emma never forgot Grace. Lucky grew stronger every day. He followed Emma everywhere, to the park, to school gates, even to her bed at night. Sometimes, when the house was silent, Lucky would suddenly look at the window and wag his tail for no reason. Emma liked to think that Grace was still around, watching over them. Everyone in the neighborhood soon learned about the brave German Shepherd, who had given her pup to a little girl before passing away. People started leaving food near the oak tree where Grace rested. The story touched everyone's heart. Even Sarah, who had been unsure at first, began volunteering at the local animal shelter with Emma. She realized how one small act of kindness could save a life or two. Emma grew more thoughtful and caring. She made it her mission to help stray animals just like Grace. She kept the old jacket she had used to wrap Lucky as a memory. Whenever she looked at it, she remembered the moment that changed her life. The moment when a dying mother dog trusted her completely. And though Grace was gone, her love remained, in the warm fur of Lucky, in the kindness of a child's heart, and in a promise that would last forever. Weeks passed after Grace's death, but her memories stayed alive in Emma's heart. Every morning, when sunlight touched the curtains, Lucky would climb onto Emma's bed and lick her face until she laughed. He was growing fast, strong, and full of life, but there was something in his eyes that reminded Emma of Grace, that same deep, kind look. It felt like Grace's soul still lived inside him, guiding him every step of the way. Emma took her promise seriously. She fed Lucky, brushed his fur, and played with him every day. They went to the park every evening, to the same oak tree where Grace was buried. Sometimes, Lucky would stop and sniff the ground, wagging his tail gently as if he knew who rested there. Emma would sit beside him and whisper, "She's watching us, Lucky. She's happy you're safe." Sarah watched her daughter from a distance. The sadness in Emma's eyes had slowly faded, replaced with strength and kindness. Lucky had become not just a pet, but a part of their family. Even Emma's father, who once said, "No pets in the house," now shared his breakfast toast with Lucky every morning. The dog had brought warmth back into their home. One sunny afternoon, as Emma and Lucky were playing fetch in the park, a man in a white coat approached them. He looked like a veterinarian. He smiled kindly and said, "That's a fine German Shepherd you have there. What's his name?" "Lucky," Emma replied proudly. His mom's name was Grace. She's gone now. The man's smile faded. "Grace?" he repeated softly. "Was she a stray? Did you find her near this park?" Emma nodded, a bit surprised. The man took a deep breath and said, "I think I knew her. A few months ago, there was a brave German Shepherd who saved a little boy from getting hit by a car on this very road. She pushed the boy away but got hit herself. We searched for her, but she disappeared before help came. Everyone thought she didn't make it." Sarah's eyes filled with tears. Emma froze, realizing the truth. Grace had been a hero, not just a mother, but a savior. The vet continued, "I can't believe she survived long enough to raise her pup and even found your daughter. It's like she knew where to go, to someone kind enough to care. Emma felt her throat tighten. She looked down at Lucky, who tilted his head as if listening. "She was so strong," Emma whispered. "She gave me her baby before she left." The vet knelt beside Lucky and petted him gently. "Then you're one lucky boy," he said softly. "Your mom was a hero." From that day, Emma decided to tell everyone about Grace. At school, she shared her story for a writing project, and soon, teachers and students were all talking about the brave German shepherd who sacrificed herself for love. People who heard the story brought food, blankets, and toys to the local animal shelter. A small movement began in their town. People started adopting stray dogs instead of buying new ones. They called it Grace's Gift. Emma and her mother began volunteering at the shelter every weekend. Emma would help wash bowls, feed puppies, and walk the lonely dogs. Each time she looked into their eyes, she saw a little piece of Grace, that same hope for kindness. Lucky often came along, wagging his tail and playing gently with the smaller dog's Dot as months went by. Emma and Lucky became inseparable. He would walk her to the school bus every morning and wait by the gate every afternoon until she returned. Whenever Emma was sad or tired, Lucky would rest his head on her lap as if saying, "I'm here." Their bond grew stronger than words could ever express. One day, while walking through the park, Emma noticed a small crowd near the oak tree. Someone had placed a wooden board in the ground with fresh flowers around it. She walked closer and gasped when she saw the words carved into it. "In memory of Grace, the mother who gave everything for love." Emma covered her mouth with her hands, tears filling her eyes. A few people turned to her and smiled. "We heard your story, sweetheart," an old woman said kindly. "That dog deserves to be remembered." Emma knelt beside Lucky, who wagged his tail and placed his paw on her leg. "Look, Lucky," she whispered softly. "This is for her." From that day, the oak tree became a special place in the park. Families brought their dogs there for walks. Children left small drawings of dogs with angel wings, and people shared stories of how animals had changed their lives. Emma felt proud, not just for Grace, but for all the animals who never gave up on love. Years passed. Emma grew older, and Lucky grew larger and stronger. He had become famous in their little town, the son of the heroic Grace. He was gentle but brave, protective but kind. He would sit by Emma's side whenever she studied, guarding her like a shadow. One winter night, a heavy storm struck the town. Thunder roared, and the lights went out. Sarah was stuck at work, and Emma was home alone with Lucky. Suddenly, she smelled something strange smoke. When she ran to the kitchen, she saw a small fire starting near the stove. She panicked, but before she could do anything, Lucky barked loudly and ran to her. He pulled her sleeve with his teeth and led her out the back door. Moments later, the flames spread through the kitchen. Emma and Lucky stood outside in the rain, coughing and shaking. The fire department arrived soon and put out the fire before it reached the rest of the house. The chief patted Lucky on the head and said, "That's one smart dog. He saved your life." When Sarah arrived home and saw what happened, she burst into tears and hugged both of them. "Grace raised a hero," she said softly, her voice breaking. After that night, the town added another small line under Grace's memorial plaque. Her spirit lives on in Lucky, the dog who saved a life. Just like his mother. Time kept moving, but the love never faded. Emma grew into a young woman, studying to become a veterinarian. She said it was because of Grace, because one dog had shown her how powerful love and kindness could be. Lucky stayed with her through every step, his fur turning gray, but his eyes still full of warmth. Every year, on the same day Grace passed away, Emma and Lucky visited the oak tree. Emma brought flowers, and Lucky lay quietly beside her. "You changed my life," Emma would whisper. "Because of you, I learned what love really means. And as the wind rustled through the leaves, Emma always felt something, a soft warmth, a presence that made her heart calm and full. Maybe it was just the wind, or maybe it was Grace, still watching from somewhere beyond, proud of the girl and the pup she had brought together. Even after Lucky grew old and could no longer walk far, Emma would carry him to the park. Together, they sat under the oak tree until sunset, remembering the brave mother who had given everything for love. The story of Grace spread far beyond their town, shared in schools, shelters, and homes across the country. People said that love like hers never truly dies. It lives on in every heart it touches. And so, under that oak tree, in the golden light of evening, a little girl's promise to a dying dog became something eternal, a bond stronger than time, a story that would never be forgotten.